Hello and welcome to another episode of Current Affairs MCQ. Let us begin with the previous day's question. Regarding the Election Commission of India, consider the following statements. 1. ECI is a permanent constitutional body established under Article 324 of the Constitution. 2. The Chief Election Commissioner enjoys the same status and privileges as a Supreme Court judge in terms of removal from office. Which of the statements given above is or are not correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option D. The Election Commission of India is a permanent constitutional body established under Article 324 of the Indian Constitution. Hence, statement 1 is correct. This article grants the Election Commission the power to oversee and conduct elections to the Parliament, state legislatures and the offices of the President and Vice President. The Chief Election Commissioner of India can only be removed from office in the same manner and on the same grounds as a Supreme Court judge. This means that the CEC enjoys the same constitutional protections and privileges regarding removal as a Supreme Court judge. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option D is the correct answer.
Welcome SSC aspirants. Drishti SSC is here to support you every step of the way with free live classes, previous year questions, PYQs, demo classes, exam notifications, and strategy videos. Whether you're starting your journey or looking to refine your preparation, we've got you covered. Subscribe to our channel and stay updated with all the resources you need to crack your SSC exams. For more details, call us at 8750187501.
Now let us look at the first question. Which of the following factors have contributed to the slowdown in corporate investment in India in recent years? A. Limited consumer demand and underutilized industrial capacity have reduced the incentive for private sector expansion. 2. The decline in the corporate investment to GDP ratio between 2004 and 2023 reflects diminished confidence in long-term growth prospects. 3. Prolonged delays in the disbursal of loans for large-scale infrastructure projects have hindered timely private investment. Select the correct answer using the code given below. A. 1 and 2 only. B. 2 and 3 only. C. 1 and 3 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is option D. Key reasons for sluggishness in corporate investment in India: weak consumer demand and underutilized capacity. Despite higher corporate profits, post-tax reforms, corporate tax cut from 30% to 22% in 2019, low consumer demand and underutilization of industrial capacity, as noted in the Economic Survey 2024-25, have discouraged private sector expansion and borrowing. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Falling investment to GDP ratio. The corporate investment to GDP ratio declined from 16% to 12% in FY 2022-23, reflecting reduced confidence in India's long-term growth prospects and insufficient momentum to achieve the 8% plus structural growth target. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Delayed loan disbursals. Long timelines in disbursal of infrastructure loans, coupled with sluggish credit growth to the infrastructure sector, have impeded timely private investment. In contrast, personal loan growth surged to 30.1%, indicating skewed credit flow. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Further, despite increased public capital expenditure, high import content and low job creation in machine-heavy infrastructure have limited its multiplier effect. Additionally, global protectionism and trade headwinds have weakened export-linked investments. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 2. The term intended nationally determined contributions, often mentioned in global discussions, primarily refers to A. Commitments made by European nations to resettle refugees from conflict zones in the Middle East. B. Country-specific action plans to address climate change under international agreements. C. Financial contributions made by nations to set up the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. D. National strategies framed to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The correct answer is option B. Intended nationally determined contributions are voluntary climate action plans submitted by countries ahead of the Paris Agreement under the UNFCCC outlining post-2020 goals for emission reduction and climate adaptation based on national priorities and capabilities. Once a country ratifies the Paris Agreement, INDCs become nationally determined contributions, forming the backbone of global efforts to limit temperature rise below 2 degrees Celsius, ideally 1.5 degrees Celsius, and achieve net zero emissions in the second half of the century. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Question 3. Consider the following personalities. 1. Mohan Singh. 2. Ras Bihari Bose. 3. Captain Lakshmi Sehgal. 4. H.C. Chatterjee. Who among the above were associated with the Provisional Government of Free India, Azad Hind Government, formed by Subhash Chandra Bose? A. 1, 2 and 3 only. B. 2, 3 and 4 only. C. 1, 3 and 4 only. D. 1, 2, 3 and 4. The correct answer is option D. The Azad Hind Government was established in October 1943 in Singapore by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose during World War II with the objective of securing India's complete independence from British colonial rule. It functioned as a government in exile and was recognized by Axis powers like Germany, Japan and Italy. Associated personalities. Captain Mohan Singh, first INA commander, laid the foundation with Japanese support. Ras Bihari Bose organized the Indian Independence League, convened Tokyo and Bangkok conferences, invited Subhas Bose to lead INA. Lakshmi Swaminathan Sehgal led the Rani Jhansi Regiment, headed the Women's Department in Azad Hind Government. H.C. Chatterjee held the finance portfolio, managed funds and support from Indian diaspora. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 4. Consider the following statements regarding the Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. 1. PKVY is a sub-scheme under the National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture launched in 2015 to promote organic farming and improve soil health. 2. It relies on third-party certification systems to ensure the credibility of organic products. 3. The funding ratio is 60-40 between centre and states, with special provisions of 90-10 for Northeast and Himalayan states and 100% central funding for UTs. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 3 only. B. 2 and 3 only. C. 1 and 2 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is option A. Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana was launched in 2015 as a sub-scheme under the National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. It promotes organic farming and aims to improve soil health by encouraging the use of eco-friendly and low-cost technologies. Hence, statement 1 is correct. PKVY does not rely on third-party certification. Instead, it promotes the Participatory Guarantee System, which is a locally relevant and trust-based certification system that involves farmers and consumers operating outside the third-party certification framework. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. The funding pattern under the scheme is 60-40 between the centre and states, 90-10 for northeastern and Himalayan states, and 100% central assistance for union territories. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 5. With reference to the Sagarmala scheme, consider the following statements. 1. It was launched in 2015 as a flagship initiative of the Ministry of Jal Shakti. 2. The National Sagarmala Apex Committee serves as the apex body responsible for providing policy direction and oversight for the Sagarmala program. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option B. Sagarmala is a flagship central sector scheme under the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways aimed at promoting port-led development by leveraging India's 7,500 km long coastline and 14,500 km of potentially navigable waterways. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. The National Sagarmala Apex Committee is the apex body for the Sagarmala program. It is chaired by the Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, and it provides policy direction and oversight. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Question 6. The Trade Watch quarterly report is released by which of the following organizations? A. Niti Aayog. B. World Trade Organization, C. World Economic Forum, D. United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. The correct answer is option A. Niti Aayog released the third edition of its Trade Watch Quarterly Report for Q3 of FY 2024-25. It offers a comprehensive analysis of India's trade trends, India's merchandise and service trade performance. India's merchandise exports grew by 3% in Q3 FY25, reaching USD 108.7 billion. India's merchandise imports rose by 6.5%, totaling USD 187.5 billion. India's services surplus amounted to USD 52.3 billion, driven by a 17% increase in services exports, reflecting the growing strength of India's services sector on the global stage. High-tech products like aircraft, spacecraft, and parts saw a remarkable 200% growth year-on-year, further diversifying India's export composition. India ranked 5th globally with USD 269 billion in digitally delivered services exports in 2024. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 7. Consider the following initiatives. 1. Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness. 2. Open Radio Access Networks. 3. Counter-Terrorism Working Group. 4. BioExplore Initiative. Which of the following initiatives have been launched under the framework of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue or Quad? A. 1, 2 and 3 only. B. 1, 3 and 4 only. C. 1, 2 and 4 only. D. 1, 2, 3 and 4. The correct answer is option D. Quadrilateral Security Dialogue or Quad is a strategic forum of the US, Japan, India and Australia aimed at regional security and economic cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. Key initiatives of the Quad. Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness enhances real-time monitoring of illegal fishing and maritime activities. Maritime Initiative for Training in the Indo-Pacific supports capacity building for maritime security and law enforcement training. Indo-Pacific Logistics Network aims to leverage shared airlift and logistical capacities for rapid disaster response in the region. Quad Ports of the Future Partnership develops sustainable and resilient port infrastructure across the Indo-Pacific, with India hosting a regional ports and transportation conference in 2025. Open Radio Access Networks. Quad with Open RAN facilitates secure and resilient 5G ecosystems. Advancing innovations for empowering next-gen agriculture uses artificial intelligence, robotics, and sensing to improve agricultural practices and empower farmers in the Indo-Pacific. BioExplore Initiative, a USD 2 million project to leverage AI for biological research with applications in healthcare, clean energy, and sustainable agriculture. Semiconductor Supply Chain Contingency Network enhances collaboration to mitigate risks in semiconductor supply chains. Counter-Terrorism Working Group focuses on countering the misuse of unmanned aerial systems, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear threats, and the internet for terrorist purposes. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Question 8. Which of the following statements best describes an initial public offering? A. A process through which the government borrows money by issuing sovereign bonds to institutional investors. B. A mechanism by which a company offers its shares to the public for the first time to raise equity capital. C. A contractual agreement in which a company merges with another to expand its public shareholding. D. A financial arrangement where banks offer loans to startups in exchange for convertible debt instruments. The correct answer is option B. An IPO is an initial public offering in which the shares of a private company are made available to the public for the first time. An IPO allows a company to raise equity capital from public investors. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Question 9. Consider the following countries. 1. Darussalam. 2. Canada. 3. Peru. 4. Vietnam. How many of these are members of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership? A. 1, 2 and 3 only. B. 2, 3 and 4 only. C. 1, 2 and 4 only. D. 1, 2, 3 and 4. The correct answer is option D. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership is a free trade agreement among 11 countries: Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, Peru, New Zealand, Singapore, and Vietnam. The CPTPP was officially signed on 8 March 2018 in Santiago, Chile, marking a significant step in regional trade cooperation. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 10. Consider the following statements regarding the poverty and equity briefs. 1. It is published biannually by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. 2. Poverty estimates for India are based on the Consumption Expenditure Survey and the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. The Poverty and Equity Briefs, published biannually during the spring and annual meetings of the World Bank Group and International Monetary Fund. Hence, statement 1 is correct. It provides insights into poverty, shared prosperity, and inequality trends for over 100 developing countries. Key development indicators cover various aspects of poverty using both national poverty lines and international benchmarks. USD 2.15 for extreme poverty, USD 3.75 for lower middle income, and USD 6.85 for upper middle income. A multidimensional poverty measure that accounts for non-monetary deprivations like education and basic services and inequality measurements using the Gini Index. Methodology for India. The World Bank's poverty estimates for India are based on the 2011-12 Consumption Expenditure Survey and the 2022-23 Household Consumption Expenditure Survey. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Now, let us look at a practice question. Which of the following statements best describes a non-performing asset? A. A loan account that is reclassified due to the borrower's credit score falling below a specified threshold regardless of repayment history. B. A loan is considered non-performing when repayments have not been made for a minimum period of 90 days. C. A loan that is temporarily suspended from the bank's active portfolio due to changes in the base lending rate. D. A loan that continues to generate interest income but has been flagged due to a high probability of default in the future. Please provide your answers in the comment section.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.